What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Logisticalstyles coming at you with another video. And this time I'm going to answer a question that I got based upon one of my more recent Facebook videos that I posted. About a week ago, maybe a couple days ago, I did a video where I was using these Rane 12s, and I had, instead of the Newmark scratch mixer that I normally use, I had my Akai AMX, which is a little mini controller that can open up Serato DJ Pro, and it will work with the Rane 12s. A lot of people were asking me how I was able to connect the 12s to the Akai AMX, and then the answer is pretty simple. I didn't connect the 12s to the Akai. What I ended up doing was connecting the Rane 12s and the Akai to a USB hub, and the hub goes into my laptop. So this is a pretty basic USB hub that I used. This right here, this one is made by TrippLite. This is a 4-port USB 3.0 ultra slim hub, and it's relatively inexpensive, probably costs about 15 bucks. I bought it off of a CDW, but it gets the job done. And I don't know about this port. There's a micro USB port here, and I'm not sure if that is used for when you need to have a powered hub. I've never used it for that. It didn't come with any extra cabling for it, but there is that little port there which you could possibly try to use if you needed a powered hub. In this case, I don't need a powered hub because these Rane 12s are just MIDI devices, and they're not sending a lot of data across compared to like an audio device that would be sending sound. So these MIDI devices, along with this controller, this is a controller. It's not necessarily a mixer, because it only works when it's connected to the laptop running Serato DJ, or it'll even work with virtual DJ as well. But it is set up like a mixer. Once you connect it to your computer, it will function like a mixer. You can connect, normally you would connect turntables or CDJs into these RCA inputs. Depending on what you plugged in, you would hit these switches to choose that format, and then there's an output which goes to your board or to your speakers, and then there's a USB port right here. So what I did was, I'll do it right here for you now. We will disconnect my RCA cables that are coming out of my Newmark scratch main, this USB plug, and the power. The cool thing about using the Akai AMX is the fact that it doesn't require an external power supply. So I could set up with just needing a plug for my laptop, a plug for each of the Rane 12s, and that's it. The Akai AMX does not need a power supply. So we will swap out the Newmark scratch. And one thing about the Akai is it's so small, it obviously does not line up very well with the Rane 12s. Now I do have the official Akai carrying case, and the carrying case has these indentations for the feet on the bottom of the AMX, and it does an okay job of holding it all together, but it's still, all I have to do is just push these together to get them a little bit more flush. But the problem I'm having is there's still space in between, and these indentations right here, they don't lock it in as tight as it should be, so there's movement when I'm using it that way. What I did in my last video, I ended up finding just something that was big enough to support the AMX. In this case, this is the box that a Microsoft Surface mouse came in, and I just set the AMX on top of that, and this will get it reasonably flush, not flush, but reasonably close to the height of the Rane 12s. So if you wanted to, you could go to Home Depot or something and find a solution or make a solution that's a little bit more exact in height. But this, for the purpose of what I'm doing right here, sits it just perfectly. Put it in close, and now there's no more wiggle room. So what I did is, the main goes right back into the main output on the AMX. The USB naturally goes into the USB port. We're not using the power. I have my USB hub. These two black ones go to the Rane 12s. And this red tipped one goes to the Akai AMX. And in a few seconds, once I plug it into my laptop, the one port on my laptop, USB port, I get recognition of the Akai AMX and the Rane 12s. Now, from this point, you can just use it as you would. You don't have to switch between line or phono. Just make sure that you have your Serato in internal mode, so you can use your Rane 12s, the platters, and you can use it as you normally would, except you have your control. And this is pretty dope because when the Rane 1 controller was announced not too long ago, people kind of came up with their own combinations of older gear to kind of mimic what the Rane 1 does, because in all reality, everything on the Rane 1 is borrowed technology. It's just put together and manufactured by Rane this time, and it looks like a really dope controller. But I didn't feel the need to run out and go get one because I knew I could put that functionality together, or something pretty close to it with stuff I already had. And in my case, I did the Akai because it gives me the mixing control surface. It gives me start-stop buttons. It gives me a library scrolling and loading system that I think is actually better than what is on the Numark Scratch. With the Numark Scratch mixer, I have to use the shift function and the knobs to scroll through, and then shift and press down on the knob in order to load the song. And you don't have the option to jump in and out of crates to playlist or into the different sections of the library. You don't have that option to jump around. So with the Akai AMX, they have it with a knob that you can scroll in and out of your library. You press down to jump in and out of the actual crate to go back into the list of crates, and then they have dedicated load buttons. And if you double tap on the load, you get the instant double. So that's what I really like about the way you can load tracks with the Akai AMX. And then there are some other things that I did that aren't stock, but I went ahead and MIDI mapped some buttons that I don't normally use. In this case, there's a search button on the top of each channel. There's search 1 and search 2. I don't use those buttons at all. I've never used them. Actually never really took the time to figure out too much what they are for. I didn't miss not having them, so what I did was I MIDI mapped them, and I did that by going into Serato, clicking on the MIDI tab on the top right corner, and from there you can MIDI map it by clicking on the button that you want to, or the feature on the screen that you want to assign to a button. In this case, I chose trigger point 1 for the left and the right deck, so each of these will be cue points 1 and 2. And I did that because this doesn't have cue points. This is where it falls short from what the what the Rane 1 has, or any other controller with pads, which is pretty much commonplace these days. So I had to kind of make it at least where I could have one, and then I also mapped the cue buttons, which are right above the play buttons. I mapped those to be the second cue point. So I at least have cue point 1 and cue point 2 on each deck. And that gives me the functionality I need, because for what I'm doing, if I'm using this setup somewhere, it's because I'm trying to save space, or I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. So I have a feeling that I'm not really doing a whole lot of juggling or crazy scratching. I'm just trying to have a good setup with spinning platters. So this is all I would need. 1 and 2 cue points so I can jump around to the different parts of the song, and then control of my volume. The filter is pretty good. You have your high, mid, lows, or high, mid, and treble. And then what's really cool about the knobs on the Akai AMX are these are touch capacitive. So meaning you don't just have to twist the knob in order to get a reaction from it. You just have to touch it. In the case of this right here, if I pull up a song real quick, let's see, get out of the mini mapping mode. And all right. So what I can do is, if I turn on the touch feature, when I turn this knob for the filter, it's going to not just apply the filter, but it's also going to apply a loop roll. And the roll will get tighter and tighter. The loop will get tighter and tighter as I turn the knob in either direction, left or right. So you'll hear. And that's because I have the touch capacitive feature on. If I turn it off, you just get a regular filter. Turning it on. Now, the bass, mid, and treble knob, their touch capacitive feature is when you touch the knob, it kills that frequency. So if I hit that, it gets rid of everything. If I hold all 3 knobs, as I release maybe the mid, you get to hear the mid release. If I bring out that bass and then the treble, you got the full range of the song. So that's a really cool thing that is technology that didn't really originate with Akai, because I remember having this feature. I think it may have been on the NS7, but it's been another brand which is under the InMusic umbrella that had that technology before, and it ended up going over to the Akai AMX. I haven't seen it used on anything else. I haven't seen it used really on any other device, like you have seen with the touch strips on the Rane 12, and that's another thing that would lead me to use this instead of the Rane 1, is because I have the same touch strips that are there on the Rane 1, that are there on the NS7. You know, all this is borrowed technology. So if you have enough gear, you can probably piece together a lot of the new stuff that's coming out. Like continuing on with this setup right here. This is a really interesting setup because it's a mix of the MK2 and the MK1. So the MK2 has the scroll knob, so this is a second way for me to be able to scroll through my library and to load songs. So this is a really cool setup. This is how I have it set up. People were asking me about it, and I just wanted to put it out there to let you be able to see it. And one thing that I haven't tried, and I think we can just go ahead and attempt to try it right now, since I have an RCA cable over here, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over. Instead of, right now everything is just in USB mode, but this one can switch to DVS mode. So let's see how it reacts when I add a RCA cable and switch it over to DVS mode. So in order to go to DVS mode, you have to get your RCA cables on the bottom. I'll go this way so you can see. On the bottom port, you have a pair of RCA jacks. So switch over to there. Add those in. And then I'm going to put this into the input for my left deck, and I'm going to switch from phono to line, because I'm pretty sure that the sound or the signal is going to be a line level signal. If not, I can always switch it over. I'm going to hold down the hold for DVS button. Hold it. Now it says Serato USB. I can't remember exactly how to make the switch. Hold for DVS mode. Continue to hold. Hold it till it flashes. Tap it again. Okay. Now it says it's in Serato DVS mode. The volume is putting out as 100%. So let's see how it works. Yes, there you go. Now let's see. Someone asked me about, in another one of the comments from one of my previous videos, about if the cue points would work in DVS mode from the deck itself. So I got my strip in cue point mode. Yes, they do work. So in DVS mode, the cue points will work from the deck. So that is good to know. And line was the correct source to try. If I move it to phono, it doesn't really change the way it sounds, but when I noticed, when I did it, I made the switch on my screen, the tracking bar dropped from the gray, which meant you had a good solid signal, to solid red. If I switch over to my scopes, I can see nothing. So if I switch back to line, boom, I can see my scopes right there because I'm in DVS mode. So let's switch back to there. And that pretty much wraps it up. This wasn't going to be a very, very long video, but I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that I had about the setup. And that was, how do I use the Rane 12s with the Akai AMX? I use a simple USB 3.0 hub, and I plug it into the mixer. I plug it into the laptop. And then I have some MIDI mapping that I've done for my cue points, so I can have at least 2 cue points, which would be my search button and then the actual cue button that's sitting above the play button. And I did that for each deck, so that gives me the ability to jump around between cue points. And then I also have the option of going into DVS mode if I want to make use of the RCAs. I don't really see a reason to use it with DVS mode in this particular setup, but it's there. It just adds another cable for you to hook up per deck. But there you go. Keep on checking out the channel. Got more videos coming. We are getting close to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and I've decided what the giveaway is going to be. I'm going to give away to some random commenter on the video. I'll probably go live when we get really close to it, and I'm going to give away a copy, or a couple. I'm going to give away 2 copies, because you got to have doubles, of this Guardian of the Galaxy Awesome Mix Volume 1. This is actually a picture disc. It's vinyl. It actually plays on a real record. It's got the sounds from the soundtrack. If you're interested in getting it, it's available. I found it at Walmart. Yes, Walmart. They do sell vinyl. If you look in the corner of the electronics section, there usually is a set of, or usually where they sell the little Crossley portable turntables, you can get those there, and they have a little section of vinyl, and a lot of it's pretty cool, a lot of picture discs if you're into collecting those type of things. But when I hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, we'll do a giveaway for a pair of these, so you can do like I did with my Mandalorian picture disc, which I also got from Walmart. And with my Rane 12s, I made these my control discs because I didn't like the original control disc that came with it. So this is what I did with my Mandalorian, and you can do the same with your Guardians of the Galaxy if you win, or you can just keep it as the dope record that it is. But either way, subscribe, share. Thanks for checking it out, and I will see you on the next video.